Matt Lavin. I work as a software engineer at LifeOmic. We're a new startup in the area, and we're providing genetic sequencing and analysis to doctors, researchers, and hopefully consumers directly. I'm going to convince you that batch, even if you aren't doing genetic sequencing, is a service that you should consider to simplify your infrastructure. Probably save yourself a lot of money. But first, let's go away from batch and talk about DNA. So you guys should be excited about genetic analysis. DNA is the code that describes how you were built, and it can influence your behavior in ways you might not expect. Understanding it can give you hints about how to optimize your life for your body. The problem with DNA is that it takes about 200 gigabytes to encode the whole sequence. And the interesting bits are only a small subset. So it takes a lot of data crunching to reduce that full sequence down to 200 megabytes of what makes you you. To make matters worse, when your DNA is sequenced, it gets chopped up into tiny bits. It gets mixed with other people being sequenced at the same time. And what you need to do is separate your data out, get it back into the right order, and then finally look at the pieces that make you unique. Luckily, there's lots of research groups working on tools to do just that. The problem is there's a lot of research groups, all with different system requirements and expectations. And what we want to do is feed the output of each tool as input to the next tool until we get the data we want. AWS Batch is based on Docker, so packaging up those tools with their unique requirements is as easy as building a bunch of Docker images. Then you just tell Batch what to do and sit back and watch it do its thing. The building block of AWS Batch is the job definition. And that's where you tell Batch what Docker image to use, what command to run, any resource requirements or IAM roles when you're deploying. Compute environments tell Batch what sort of environment you want to create or you want it to create. And here you can specify EC2 level details like subnets, security groups, scaling policies. And job queues allow you to specify job priority and what environment to execute inside of. But the most powerful part of Batch is the job submission. And here you specify not only what you want to do, but what to wait for before getting started. And these dependencies allow you to upgrade Batch from just a command executor to a flexible workflow engine. Each of our jobs is based around a wrapper that will pull its input and output directories from parameters, download files from S3, execute a tool, and upload that output back to S3. And with this consistent job behavior, we can pre-compute all the input and output directories for a full pipeline of jobs. And then we schedule all those jobs with dependencies that force each part to wait for its input to be ready before executing. And Batch does the scheduling. And setting up your environment is easy. Just create a place to put your data, like S3, build some Docker images that can push and pull, run some tools, and then define Batch resources, and you're off. Batch can be used for any data processing, but it plays especially well with HIPAA because your data can stay in S3 or EC2 containers or EC2 compute environments. There's some quirks to learn, like everything. Make sure to use dump-init inside of your containers. This will clean up zombie processes if you forget instead of just eating up all your CPU time. The number of job dependencies in a job is limited to 20. And if you have a lot of dependencies, you're going to have to introduce some dummy jobs just to split it up. It's easy to do. Batch brings more good than bad. It automatically retries failed jobs so you can recover from intermittent failures without any extra code. It'll scale your environment up and down based on job load so you don't have to think about provisioning. You can even bring your own AMIs to the EC2 infrastructure that it creates for you, which means you can bring disk encryption, threat detection tools, system auditing, any other tool that your company requires you to include. When no jobs are running, Batch will scale down your infrastructure to 0 instances, which means $0 per hour idle cost. Your company's going to like that. It'll automatically pick the best instance type for you based on the jobs you have in queue. And the structure of jobs lends itself perfectly to the immutable deployments that we love. If you want new work, you just do new Docker images, new job definitions. They live in parallel with the existing Docker images and Docker, so rollbacks are trivial, parallel runs are trivial. If you're doing any batch or any data processing, I seriously suggest you check out Batch, or just talk to me afterward and we can talk about what you want to do. All right, thanks for listening.